that lingered too long.
Her lack of religious faith.
Who keeps a secret diary in their 20s, written in code?
A secret code.
Much of which she wrote in miniature.
And often in a rushed shorthand.
Untidy code.
Which took Leslie Linder about 13 years to unravel. Heroic.
Oh, I don't think she told anyone about it.
I think maybe she mentioned it one time in a letter later in life.
Yes, her life. Well, now there's a mystery in itself to most people.
Of course, there is no secret about her love of nature.
No, nor was there ever.
No, and so much of what appears secret now was well known at the time among those who knew her.
Yes. Well, like her now secret passion, not for people.
For animals?
No, that's hardly a secret.
Plants, then?
They're not plants. Those things there, look.
Oh, of course. They have their own secret underground kingdom.
fungi, a mysterious secret kingdom underground.
Unsung.
Misunderstood.
Beatrix loved to sketch and paint their toadstools.
To study and investigate their world.
She asked a lot of questions about fungi.
Some she answered.
And some have only now been answered.
And others are yet to reveal themselves.
She was interested in everything to do with nature.
Yes, that's true. Now, as a child, she and her brother Bertram, they used to have some quite unusual pets.
But many, of course, were not secret.
No, but some were definitely not allowed in the house.
Oh, like insects.
Oh, yes, insects. Oh, and mice.
Oh, and bats.
Yes, and not to mention frogs.
Oh.
Like the 2 frogs that escaped into the dairy. Yes. Well, I'm afraid to say that didn't end well. Two frogs came in through a dairy door. Hop! Said one to the other, let's explore. But a bowl of cream lay on the floor, and they both fell in and they saw no more. Plop! They swam together round and round. Flop! Then one exclaimed, we must be drowned. There's no deliverance to be found. And so he sank with gurgling sound. Plop! The other one no words could utter, but carried on with many a splutter until he churned the cream to butter. Hop! It bounded out to disappear. So let me point a moral here. Stop! If, like the frog, we persevere and work with courage and good cheer, we're bound to come out every year on top.
Just as Beatrix did with her stories, I said.
Oh, yes. No, but that isn't one of her stories. That's the Song of the Two Frogs. It wasn't her story. It was written by composer Dorothy Howell and her sister Mary. You see, Dorothy was a close contemporary of Beatrix, and they had a lot in common. They both paid a great deal of attention to their work, and both had a wicked sense of humour. Dorothy's work was hidden for many years, as Beatrix's science had been, until now, thanks to Dr. Leah Broad and her painstaking work to rebuild Howell's reputation in the musical world, which somehow seems to have forgotten that Dorothy Howell had a glittering career.
My goodness, thank you for Leah for doing all that work. Beatrix's own glittering career, though, as a children's writer, had an unpromising start.
Yes, you're right. She was born in a sea of Victorian repressed kind of conventions and had to live as a single woman with her parents well into her 30s, very respectably.
Ah, I see. They had inherited a fortune, hadn't they? Made in the cotton mills of Lancashire, which led them to have a very comfortable life.
Do you know, I wonder if she knew or understood where that comfortable life originated.
Yeah, it's difficult. The American Civil War, slavery, but it had ended just as she was born.
That's true, but you know, she was so proud of her Lancashire heritage that I'm sure she must have learned about it that way.
I am descended from generations of Lancashire yeomen and weavers, obstinate, hard-headed, matter-of-fact folk.
Yes, would she have known that many of those hard-headed cotton mill workers there had supported the ending of slavery in America despite the enormous hardships it brought them, as the wartime blockades cut off most of the supply of cotton, which kept their looms operating in the mills.
Yeah, and many, many people starved as a result.
Yes, they weren't just hard-headed, were they? They were brave and principled too.
No, Beatrix had many, if not all of those traits as well.
She did, and her family's wealth allowed time for intellectual inquiry and the development of a very creative imagination.
Absolutely. And also they were able to go to Scotland and the Lake District on holiday, which meant that Beatrix could be completely surrounded in nature.
Yes, of course. Hey! And it was in Scotland that she met a man with no fingers on his left hand who played the cello and wrote his own tunes. You see, he'd been a fiddler before when he had fingers, but they were chopped off in a sawmill accident. But he found he could use the stump of his left hand on the fingerboard to play the cello. Yes, he could. Yes, but Beatrix wasn't interested in the music. So, yes, she was introduced to him as the Perthshire naturalist, and he'd learned to become a fungi expert on his rounds. As a postman, he would be looking at everything as he passed by. Now, Beatrix had a very, very interesting way of describing him. She reminded him, he reminded her rather, of, what was
A
it?
damaged lamppost. A more scared, startled scarecrow it would be difficult to imagine. Very tall and thin, stooping, with a weak chest, one arm swinging, and the walking stick much too short, hanging onto the stump with a loop, a long wisp of whisker blowing over each shoulder, a drip from his hat and his nose, watery eyes fixed on the puddles. It used to be an amusement to hop from puddle to puddle on the strides of Charlie's hobnailed boots.
This unassuming but very well respected fungal expert encouraged her to paint her subjects in perfect scientific detail. And when she got back to London, they used to write to each other. Yes. And he would send her specimens that she requested, and then she would study them using her microscope in great detail. And she would send the finished paintings to Charlie Mackintosh in Scotland. And of course, she would put them in the post.
Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter.
Beatrix Potter asked the postman, pick some fungi, send them to me, pack them in a proper parcel, put them in the post box.
Beatrix Potter asked the postman, pick some fungi, send them to me, pack them in a proper parcel, put them in the post box. Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter. She was a mycologist. What's a mycologist? She studied mushrooms.
Oh, but my corals!
No, she studied mushrooms.
How?
Under a microscope.
Really?
And she drew rabbits.
Under
No! In the garden, Beatrix Potter. Beatrix Potter.
Beatrix Potter, as the postman picks some fungi, send them to me, pack them in a proper parcel, put them in the post box.
Beatrix Potter, ask the postman, pick some fungi, send them to me, pack them in a proper parcel, put them in the post box. Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter.
Dear Mr. Mackintosh,
Do you think you could send me a fungus? A fungus? Do you think you could tell me all about it? All about it? I will study and sketch them and paint them in watercolors and send them to Dunkirk for you to admire.
Beatrix Potter, ask the postman, pick some fungi, send them to me, put them in a proper parcel, put them in the post box.
Beatrix Potter, ask the postman, pick some fungi, send them to me, pack them in a proper parcel, put them in the post box. Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter, Beatrix Potter.
Yeah, but Beatrix lost contact with Charlie Mackintosh once she moved on to writing children's books, so...
Yes, well, that's true. It does seem a shame, doesn't it? I mean, the secret of Beatrix's scientific work only came to light because of her connection with Charlie Mackintosh. In 1975, mycologist Dr. Mary Noble was researching the Perthshire naturalist as a mycologist, as she was herself, when she came across, unexpectedly, this amazing connection with Beatrix Potter, and Beatrix's secret was out. Here she was, a confident, skilled, experimental mycologist, forming her own opinions from her observations, including, for example, that lichen was possibly not just one single organism. She took the line that others took, which was that fungi and algae were living together in one plant. It's something that mycologists still discuss today. She was noting the environments in which she found her specimens and even suggesting ways of germinating spores to the mycologist at Kew Gardens, no less, George Massey. And preparing a paper to be read at the very grand Linnean Society. I imagine the night before she'd probably have been wishing very hard that they would take her work seriously. Oh no, I don't think she'd have been able to see stars to wish on. I mean, you know, London was full of fog in those days, so she probably just had to wish and hope for a star. What were you wishing for, Beatrix?
Starlight, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might have the wish I wish tonight. Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might have the wish
itself that she wrote was a secret, you know. Well, it got lost somehow. We don't know how. And we don't even know if she continued to work on it. But its secrets have been revealed by the wonderful Professor Roy Watling, who pieced together all bits and pieces from her notebooks and journals, and was able to show that in her research germinating spores of fungi and lichen, they had been correct and in fact been pioneering. And then, of course, as we all know, she became a writer. Now, these are stories that we're very familiar with in Beatrix's life. The stories of Peter Rabbit, the hedgehog, Mrs. Tiggywinkle. But there are so many stories in her life, and indeed, one of them is that she was a fossil collector. Yes, she collected fossils. Here's an example of her writing about it.
I found some interesting fossils. Also, I have found out which stone to split and how to use a cold chisel.
She was looking into the past, learning that fossils were also ancient organisms. She would have been fascinated by the work of the future, like that of Professor Lynne Boddy. It's revealed so much about how dependent our planet is on the survival of the fungi, and reflects Beatrix's own instincts to protect the natural world.
Underground, hidden hyphae are growing and spreading gradually outwards away. Mycelium web of whispering of the fungi stands quietly. We have followed its spores for thousands of years on the wind. except for the rotters who clean up our world, clean up our world, they clean up our world. They are saving our precariously challenged biology without fungi. Without fungi. No leaves and no flowers. No hearts and no lovers. Nothing to see.
We saw a raven very high above us. It called out, and the dome of the sky seemed to echo the sound. It called again and again as it flew onwards, and the mountains gave back the sound, seeming as if from their centre, a musical bell-like answering to the bird's hoarse voice. We heard both the call of the bird and the echo after we could see them no longer. The moon shone like herrings in the water. The hills and the stars and the white waters with their ever-varying yet ceaseless sound. We stood there for a long time. The whole scene impressive, the mountains indistinct, the lake calm and partly ruffled. The sweet sound of water falling into the quiet lake.
The poetry of Dorothy Wordsworth tells of a great love for the Lake District, the land that Beatrix farmed later in life when she escaped her parental bonds and had many happy years of marriage. She married a local man.
Mm-hmm. She was returning to a place she'd learned to love in her youth, and which, though through the independent wealth earned from her books, she was able to buy up huge tracts of land, which she gifted to us through the National Trust. She was not a lone voice for conservation in Cumbria, though. No, there are many now working there, and there have been too around Beatrix's time, or just following on from her. For example, the Franklin family. Now, Helga Franklin, she was a founder member of the Cumbria Wildlife Trust, and her lamentations about farming practices that resulted in poorer grassland and the crossbreeding of fell sheep was something that resonated, or would have done, with Beatrix, who herself was a champion breeder of Herdwick sheep. Juliet Franklin was really carrying Beatrix's mantle. She was a mycologist too, and at one time president of the British Mycological Society, who we have to thank for this wonderful day celebrating fungi. Now, she used her lands to carry out experiments, an outdoor laboratory in her woodlands. Beatrix would have loved to visit those woodlands, I think. It was during her holidays in the Lake District that she wrote in her journal about some of the extraordinary fungal encounters.
I think one of my pleasantest memories of Earthwaite is sitting on Oatmeal Crag on a Sunday afternoon, where there is a sort of table of rock with a dip, with the lane and fields and oak copse like an inner trough below my feet, and all the little tiny fungus people singing and bobbing and dancing in the grass and under the leaves all down below. I cannot tell what possesses me with the fancy that they laugh and clap their hands, especially the little ones that grow in tropes and rings amongst dead leaves in the woods. I suppose it is the fairy rings the myriads of fairy fungi that start into life in autumn woods.
It is from Earthswing that our final secret comes, for it is from within those very fairy rings that we have uncovered some fantastical fungi stories sung by the fairies themselves. Could this be a trove of stories meant only for the fungi kingdom? Left there by Beatrix herself, passed forever through the wood wide web, but rarely heard by humans. If you listen, as Beatrix did, with your ear to the ground, you may just hear them. Oh, I think I can hear them coming now. I think I can hear them coming. Yes, there they are.
What happened to
I can hear Ivan, one of the fairies, talking. Who are you, Ivan?
I'm a plant partner, a mycorrhiza, sending messages through the wood wide web. To save a birch tree from the purpose, Beatrix Potter's Garden.
I am a rotter, an eco-friendly fungi, with a tale of experiments gone wrong, a house of mycelia, and Beatrix's story of disbelief.
Eco-warrior, saving the planet, and with Beatrix's help, saving the gorgeous taste of her favourite chocolate.
And what are you here for?
We're here to share our
Mega song for Beatrix Potter's fantastic fungi stories.
Let's begin.
Patience, Miss Potter is painting today. Painting today. Painting today. No rabbits, nor dogs, nor ducks, nor mice, but fungi. The poetry of fungi.
Mycorrhiza.
Lexilum versipile.
Plant mycorrhiza.
Lexilum
Partners.
versipile.
Mycorrhiza.
Lexilum
Mycorrhiza.
Lexilum versipile.
Down the path near Blackbird Lodge. Down the path near Blackbird Lodge. Beatrix is walking by. Beatrix is walking by. Beatrix is walking by. Two-story house. She saw it, and when she got near to it, she said, I'm gonna draw it. I'm gonna draw it.
I'm gonna draw it,
she said. I'm gonna draw it. It was a
Lexilum versipile.
It was a Lexilum versipile. She was on the ground sketching. She was on the ground sketching. Beatrix stopped her sketching and put her ear to the ground. And put her ear to the ground. Then she heard something. It sounded like rumbling. The fungi were sending messages through their underground network of mycorrhizas. The fungi were
A tree was in danger.
messages
They
through
had to
their
warn it
underground
before it was too
network
late.
of mycorrhizas. The fungi were sending messages through their underground network of mycorrhizas. A tree was in danger. They had to warn it before. A tree was in danger. They had to warn it before it was too late. Too late. Danger, You're going to be replaced with a house. You're going to be replaced with a house.
Birch tree stood still.
A fairy circle appeared.
Suddenly, small mushrooms appeared.
Small mushrooms stacked on top of each other.
The builders arrived but couldn't get through.
The birch tree stayed forever. The birch tree stayed forever.
Patience, Miss Potter is painting today. Painting today. Painting today. No rabbits, no dogs, no ducks, no mice, but fungi. The poetry of fungi. The outdooring fungi. The magic of fungi.
Eco-friendly fungi. Eco-friendly fungi. Eco-friendly fungi. Eco-friendly fungi. One peaceful summer day, Beatrix Potter was playing in the beautiful orangery at Bray Castle. It was very bright as the sun beamed in through the delicate glass structure. Shade from the orange trees makes the tactile patterns on the floor. She came across an orange that had fallen on the floor. When she picked it up, she noticed its vibrant orange skin has started to mould. Excitedly, she rushed back into the kitchen, clutching the mouldy orange. She grabbed her old wooden stool, pushed it noisily up to the table, and carefully placed the orange down. She ran to get her amazing new microscope. Came back to the kitchen, clambered up to the table, and used a spoon to scrape a bit of the mould off. She peeped through the lens and studied the fungus.
She put the fungus in the tin and put the lid on the tin and hid it under the stairs and forgot about it for a long time.
And then the tin exploded.
Fungus spread throughout the house from the bottom to the top, covering the whole house in fungi, growing and growing.
It goes out of the chimney and on the and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. It grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. It grows all over and Beatrix couldn't believe how much fungi there was.
Humongous fungus.
Beatrix couldn't believe how much fungi there was. It exploded.
Humongous fungus.
Disappeared into a cloud of smoke. So she wrote a story, but no one believed her. They all said it was a dream. They all said it was a dream. All said it was a dream.
Patience, Miss Potter is painting today. Painting
future. Eco-warriors. Eco-warriors.
Eco-warriors.
Saving the future. Eco-warriors.
Saving the future. Saving the future. Saving the future.
Eco-warriors.
Saving the future, saving the future.
Hydrocycline cochineal. Chocolate.
Chocolate.
People started realizing across the world that chocolate did not taste very nice. Chocolate did not taste like it did before. It did not taste right. People were confused. They kept asking chocolate companies why it tasted different.
Why doesn't it taste nice? Why doesn't it taste nice?
They said they did not know. We need help.
We need help.
We think it's because fungi's not growing properly.
Fungus gives chocolate its taste.
So the eco-warriors went to see BEATRIX Potter
to ask her about fungi. The cocoa bean wouldn't have any flavour because the fungus was dying. And they asked, why is it dying?
Why is the fungus dying? Why is the fungus dying?
So she told them, the fungi is dying because no one is respecting their habitat. So as a solution, people should leave dead wood and things fungi might eat.
Oil.
Plastic.
BEATRIX Potter saw the fungi's habitats being destroyed. People were taking all the dry, rotten wood which the fungus needed to thrive. The dark, damp conditions were destroyed. The fungus needed food, water and oxygen to survive and live.
Oh, and oxygen to survive.
Survive and thrive, survive and thrive. Eco-warriors. BEATRIX Potter is joining the eco-warriors to help keep fungi alive. Keep fungi alive. BEATRIX Potter stories are read. You can find them on the internet and spread the word.
Spread the word.
Must be read.
Spread the word.
Must be read.
Spread the word. Spread the word.
Must be read.
As time went by, BEATRIX's story was heard by everyone all over the world. Eco-warriors heard out to check that there are plenty of habitats for fungi. A shady, damp corner, tree stumps and dead wood, plenty of trees. Their new habitats had plenty of fungi. When the first bar of chocolate was made, they gave it to BEATRIX. BEATRIX ate it straight away and thought it was delicious.
Chocolate.
BEATRIX Potter is painting today. Painting today. Painting today. No rabbits, no dogs, no ducks, no mice, but fungi. The poetry of fungi.
Well done. Well done, guys.
Oh,
Where are the children? Take a bow. Take a bow, children. Come on.
Yeah.
Well done.
You just said the message.
I should say that
You read
the
it?
3 children were actually 16 who made the work. And they did it all on Zoom.
Oh.
So, amazingly. So, yes,
Wow.
well done, children. I didn't see everybody taking a bow there. Well done, Kira. And the virtual choir, our wonderful virtual choir, who, as you realise, managed to sync themselves live online. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Now, it's very hard to follow the children's mega song, but I think so we've created a song competition, and we have with us a very, very august person to launch this competition in the face of Judith Weir, who some of you may know is Master of the Queen's Music. And Judith's going to tell you about the competition.
Oh, what a fantastic mega song. And I think it would be very difficult for anyone to reach that standard of really good music and words and singing. But let's all have a try and enter the competition, which is coming up. So just a few simple things you have to do to enter the competition. Firstly, obviously, choose a fungus. And I think choosing a fungus with a nice long name would be a very good start, because you might be able to use that as part of your music, like the people from Hawkshead School did. So try and find something even longer than Licinium versipelli and mycorrhiza. I can't even see them. They could, but there it is. So that's step number one. Find a fungus, find out all about it, because we've heard today fantastic things about each of these fungi, and there are many more things to find out. Find out about those things. Think about a story. Just as Beatrix Potter made up stories about these fungi, you can too. Find your favorite fungus and think how it came to be there or what it does. Next thing, you have to make this song. You need a few verses. Remember that Hawkshead wrote that enormous long piece of music and sang it to us, that what they had in the middle was that very nice chorus, Patient Miss Potter. And I love the way it ended up with the word fungi, like that. So find a word that you can really make strong in that chorus. You can add music, or you can do what they did and just speak the words and have some music in the background. But make those words clear, because you want the people who listen to know what's going on in your fungi song. And I think once you've done that, you can send them to Electric Voice Theatre, and very much hope that we'll be hearing them in the future.
Well, we certainly will, Judith, and you and Professor Lynne Boddy are going to judge the best. So so it's important that they get all the stuff about fungi right as well as the music. So that's very important. So, and you can register now. Fungus Day, the Fungus Day website has got information, and so has our website, electricvoicetheatre.co.uk, and you'll see all that stuff come up at the end. So Judith, thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed the music that the children have written.
I thought it was really interesting. Not only did I learn a lot about fungi, I had some nice tunes and some very exciting ways of making music, not just singing, but some very interesting noises in the background. That excited me.
Yes, we had a lot of fun doing that, didn't we? And everybody has to realise that these children were all isolated in their own homes. So none of this work was done in a group at all. They did it separately and independently, and then we recorded it through Zoom. So it was kind of an amazing thing to do. So I think year 3 and year 4, someone has just said, I'm super proud of you all. I think you're all fantastic. And I think you should thank your amazing school, because your teachers were fab. And I also I've got lots of other people to thank. So a big round of applause for Judith, and thank you. And please do enter the song competition. And before we go, I'm just going to thank a couple of people, because, well, I mean, to be honest, there's far too many people to thank. So I'm going to put them up here because, you know, there's the people who funded us, UK Fungus Day, Arts Council, National Lottery, the Granada Foundation, the Marcus Trust. And then there's all these amazing people who've been working on this project. You wouldn't think there were so many, would you? And particularly the British Mycological Society. That's where you go if you want to find out more about fungi, by the way. Guys, you'll see the links on our website to them. And especially to Isabel from Cumbria Music Service, who helped us create the music in the school, and the Cumbria Wildlife Trust, the Freshwater Biological Association, who are based at Windermere, and particularly to Faye Morrissey at Art Museum, where you can go and see Beatrix's paintings. And Faye let us use them for this show. And of course, the wonderful school, the teachers there, and the National Trust up there, Laura from the National Trust, who's been helping us with all sorts of things. And she looks after some of the places Beatrix would have known. So do join here. And the big thank you to our virtual choir. Here's all our singers: Martin, May, Kathy, David, Catherine, Angela Mellert, Adrian Newton and Lynn Davey. And I have to say a special thank you to Catherine Booth, who, if it wasn't for her, none of this would be happening. Catherine Booth is, in fact, our science historian. And if she switches on her screen, I think everybody should give her a huge round of applause. Absolutely massive round of applause, because she is the person who finds out all the stuff, does all that real hard work in the background, and who inspired us to produce all this work. And of course, Professor Lynne Boddy as well, who spent a lot of time with us, as she said. Working with us. Do join our choir. We're working on something about Mary Anning next, because we're always trying to celebrate women in science, as we've done with Beatrix. So do sign up for that if you can. And thank you to our wonderful cast. Thank you to Judith and Anna, who is moderating. She's very much behind the scenes there, but she's been looking after you all. I hope that's worked out well. And to Hannah Fox, whose work you haven't seen yet, but join us on the 10th of November for the finale of the competition, and you'll hear all that wonderful work the children did again, but it's being made into an animated film, and they're working with Hannah over the next month to create this film that will go with their music, and then that will be up on the websites. So we're really excited about that. I can't wait to welcome Hannah to the project finally, after lots of COVID problems. And don't forget to join the Beatrix Potter Fungi Competition. You can register now on our website, electricvoicetheatre.co.uk, and the winning verses will be performed on the 10th of November. Now, to finish, I want everyone to switch on their video, and we're going to sing that chorus that Judith was talking about, Patient Miss Potter, just once, and see if we can all join in with that.
Patient